In the small village of São Martino, surrounded by misty hills and forgotten forests, there stood an ancient chapel where the bells no longer tolled. It was here that everyone knew the tale of Clara Vidal, the bride who vanished on her wedding day. Clara was the only daughter of old Álvaro Vidal, a stern and feared man. On the eve of her wedding to Tomás, the village's young teacher, something strange happened. She left home at dusk in her wedding dress, saying she wanted to see the sunset one last time as a single woman. They searched for her tirelessly. They scoured the forest, the rivers, and even the hidden caves beneath the hills. All they found was her veil, caught on a gnarled branch near the Cliff of Souls, a place the locals avoided. 5 years later, the chapel was restored. A couple of outsiders decided to marry there, drawn by the place's decaying beauty. On the eve of the wedding, the bride awoke with a shiver and saw a pale woman standing in the doorway, with loose hair and a dress stained with earth. Frightened, the couple sought out the local priest, who refused to enter the chapel. During the vows, the bells, which were broken, began to toll on their own. The bride fainted. The photographer fled, screaming that he had captured an image behind the altar, a woman with eyes full of blood and a twisted smile. Over time, no one dared to use the chapel anymore, but the villagers still report seeing a figure dressed in white wandering at dusk, always heading toward the cliff. Once, a group of young people tried to challenge the legend. They brought a camera and went to the chapel on the exact date of Clara's disappearance. They found the altar covered with fresh petals, as if someone had prepared a wedding. Today, the chapel is surrounded by fences and no one enters. But on some foggy dawns, a melancholic sound echoes between the hills. The bells toll, and a shadow walks toward the altar. Alvarenga Street had always been peaceful until the day the screams began. Every night, precisely at 2:17 a.m., a piercing sound shattered the silence. Residents shut their windows, but nothing could muffle the sharp wailing from the end of the street. Dona Isolina, who had lived there for over 40 years, claimed it was the spirit of Marta, a young woman murdered there in 1978. The younger residents laughed it off but avoided leaving home after 10. No one wanted to be the next to hear the screams up close. Enrique, a skeptical journalist, decided to investigate. Armed with a recorder and a camera, he spent the night leaning against the wall of the old abandoned house at number 139. At 2:17, the scream emerged, but it wasn't a human sound. It was something more dense, profound. The recorder caught only static. The camera, pointing directly at the house, turned off by itself at the moment of the scream. When Enrique reviewed the footage, he saw something unsettling. A female silhouette standing at the window, looking directly at him. The next day, he tried to interview the neighbors. Many refused to speak. One old man, wearing a hat with sunken eyes, simply said, "She's trapped." Each scream is a cry for help, or revenge. No one escapes when she chooses. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, Enrique returned the following night. This time, he brought a crucifix and holy water. As he entered the house, the air felt heavy, as if wading through thick water. The door shut behind him on its own. The rooms were untouched, covered in dust and cobwebs. In the back room, he found a cracked mirror. As he approached, he saw his reflection distort, morphing into features that weren't his. Then the scream came again, but this time inside his mind. Enrique fell to the floor, his eyes bleeding. A voice whispered in his ear, "You saw. Now you're apart." Fighting against the pain, he crawled to the door, but it wouldn't open. The house seemed alive, pulsing, breathing, desiring to trap him forever. The next morning, a boy found Enrique unconscious on the sidewalk, muttering names no one recognized. He was hospitalized, Since then, he never spoke again, only screamed at 217 every day. Doctors couldn't explain his behavior. The police sealed off number 139, but this didn't stop the screams. Now, they emanated from various points along the street. It was as if the curse had spread, branching through the walls, the trees, the dreams of the residents. Isolina died in her sleep, a look of terror on her face. The old man with the hat disappeared, leaving only a phrase written in blood on the wall. She crossed over. Soon, the town began to empty. Alvarenga Street became a ghost road in a matter of months. Enrique remained committed. His eyes, once brown, turned white. At 217, nurses locked the ward. They claimed to hear whispers seeping from his mouth without him moving it. Some quit, others disappeared. A group of young filmmakers tried to produce a documentary about the street. Only one returned. He was naked, covered in dirt, and claimed to have been in another Alvarenga, a dark version where all screams originate. He died before he could explain what he saw. The city council attempted to demolish number 139. The machines broke down. The workers were injured. One of them entered the house and never came out again. The supervising engineer had a breakdown and jumped off a bridge 3 days later, shouting, "She wants to be born." Experts in paranormal phenomena were called in. None returned with conclusions. A medium left a warning. It's not a spirit. It's an echo, a scream that took shape. Every night, she grows stronger. She doesn't want justice. She wants company. Today, Alvarenga Street remains closed off, but some curious ones still venture in. They say that those who hear the scream and don't run never come back. Because every 217, Marta chooses, and her scream is the invitation to a world from which no one escapes.